Today I want to tell you the story of how I was headhunted by Google, went through the very interesting interview process, and eventually declined the job offer, and some of the lessons that you can learn from that. So if you've ever wondered what it really takes to be seen and to attract opportunities from huge multinational companies, basically the dream companies of people, and why I ended up saying no, then I think you'll really enjoy this episode. So let's dive in. Now, in the earlier episode, I talked about the fact that I took 2 career breaks in my corporate career journey so far. So the first one was in 2016 and the second one was in 2019. And we also went through in detail as to some of the questions that you might want to think about before taking a career break. So if you haven't watched the earlier episode yet, make sure that you watch it before this episode. And if you haven't downloaded my free guide, then make sure that you download my 5-day career growth guide that will help you to really set up your career for success, whether you're going to take a career break or not. That out of the way, the fact that you have context, then let's talk about that specific time period in 2016, towards the end of 2016, where I was on a career break. And most of the time, when you're on a career break, most people will feel that we can't do anything, we will not get any opportunities, and I'm here to tell you that that is not true. In fact, it was during my career break in late 2016 was actually the time that I got headhunted by very big companies, notably Google, PayPal, and the central bank. So today's story all about Google. Now, I want to make it very clear, I did not make a single job application during my career break. So these are purely opportunities that I attracted. I was headhunted using this magical platform called LinkedIn, if you know what you're doing on LinkedIn. The first thing was the fact that I'm on LinkedIn. So the thing is that I think a lot of people come and tell me that they are not getting opportunities. But at the same time, when I ask them, are you on LinkedIn? They say, what's that? I have an account, but I don't really do anything. Or, I've been engaging on the feed, but I don't know what to do. So these are really, really, really common. And I think that a lot of people don't actually know the power of LinkedIn in terms of growing your career, in terms of helping you get opportunities. Now, LinkedIn was a platform that I have been using since 2012. So that's more than 10 years ago. And I know how it works. So the fact is that, if you want to be found, you need to be on a platform where you can be found. So don't expect people to drop you an email randomly or, dropping your WhatsApp or phone call randomly if you cannot be found, right? So the first thing I did right was I had a LinkedIn profile. Now that's really the foundation of everything. Now the second thing that happened was when I was working in Visa, I used to work in a global team. So I was also the top performer in Visa and was obviously recognized by multiple senior management as well. So over time, everybody just, changed jobs and we changed companies and we changed industries. And that also happened to some of my ex-colleagues and ex-management in Visa as well. So back in 2016, I have already left Visa. So I was, with Standard Chartered for about 1.5 years and then I was on a career break. Then one day, I got a direct message on LinkedIn. And it was from this director who is working at Google, which I thought was really strange. I was like, why is a person from Google dropping me a message? Because I don't really know anyone there and I have also not made any application. Remember, I was still on the career break, so I was being a caregiver, right? So I got a message and this person who's at the director level introduced himself and he told me that, oh, hi Mei Ping, I am currently working in this team in Google and, currently my boss is this person and, my boss right now used to work with you at Visa and she highly recommended that I reach out to you because she remembered you from your past company and she thinks that you're really great and wanted me to reach out to see whether we can have a conversation on whether, are you looking out for opportunities right now? So that was really one of the first times I realized that, LinkedIn is really, really, really powerful because even though I did not actively build a connection or, I didn't have inroads to, people working in certain companies, it doesn't mean that I cannot be found. So imagine if I didn't have a LinkedIn profile, that means that that particular director couldn't have reached out to me. So this person reached out to me and asked me, what are you doing right now? And I said, okay, I'm on the career break. Then he said, are you open to exploring certain roles with Google and would you want to have a chat with me? And I said, okay, great, right? Why not? And if you have a chance to potentially explore an opportunity or a position with Google, I'm sure you'll say yes as well. And that was what happened. So I said yes. I'm like, okay, let's talk and let me learn a bit more about the role. So after that, we met, which I thought was really an interesting networking opportunity as well. Whether I wanted or not wanted to pursue the opportunity, it was still a great networking opportunity for me. So I went to the office, we had a chat, and the director shared the role with me, and he asked me, would you want to pursue it? Now this is actually a very interesting dynamic. I think, as you know, some really big companies and roles, and I guess you can call it dream companies. Usually, there are thousands of applicants, but how I managed to attract the opportunity and really got into the selection slot was because I had a good positive recommendation from someone who has actually worked with me in the past, which I thought was really interesting, because I think most of the time we don't really think about the contributions that we have had in any of our previous roles, previous companies, or all the impact that we have made as well, not just to the general department, but to the individual person who has actually worked with you. So that particular management and leadership who has worked with me, she really remembered me, and she even recommended her new team director to reach out to me, which I thought, oh wow, the time when I've left Visa to the time that this new team director reached out to me, I think it must have at least been 2 years, maybe even more as well. So I think it goes to show me that I think it was really the first time I saw it, that, oh, okay, the fact that you did a good job, people remember, right? And if there's one thing that you want to stay motivated on, the impact that you make and the fact that people remember it, is the fact that, none of the hard work that you've put in really goes to waste. I think that was really an important lesson that I learned that day. Now, after that, after sharing the details of the job with me and stuff like that, then he asked me, do you want to pursue it? We will go through 5 rounds of interview and I was like, okay. So now, the role sounded interesting. And obviously, I think the more exciting part was the fact that I might have an opportunity to work with Google. So, we're not going to go into detail as to how to choose the right job, because that's something that I have discussed in the previous videos, as well as, I do teach the step-by-step in my career course. So we're not going to go into detail on that. But what I want to say is, a lot of times we are very excited if it's a big brand. And that's fine, right? Almost everyone has their ideal company that they want to work in, right? Maybe at that time, for me, it's oh, Google, that sounds really fun. Maybe I'll go and interview, and the role sounds like something that I could do as well. So that was the very simple thought process that I went through. So I went through 5 rounds of interview. So 2 rounds was with the team in Singapore. So I spoke to the manager of the team, and I also spoke to one of the compliance directors, also based in Singapore, for the Asia Pacific office. And after the 2 interviews, I succeeded, and I did a Google Hangout call. So these were 2-3 more interviews with the team based in the US, right? So it was a total of 5 rounds. I met very senior people as well. A lot of them were senior manager level, director level, which was a very interesting interview experience. I do think that, the interview team, the interviews at Google are those kind of interviews where they make you feel comfortable, but at the same time, I feel like it's it's an intellectual conversation. It didn't feel like, they were just reading off a script and, there was a perfect answer to everything. I do feel that it was kind of conversational, and it kind of gives you a better sense of if I were to join this team and work with these team members, how we would communicate on a day-to-day basis. And I thought that was really good. So after going through 5 rounds of interviews, and obviously, with any job application in Google, there were many, many, many candidates as well. But the process that I went through was actually quite fast. And I think it also taught me a lesson of okay, if somebody really wants you, most of the time the process will be seamless, it'll be really fast. So we're not going to go into too much detail on the interview process. After that, I had a conversation with HR. So HR told me that, she obviously asked some questions on my salary, and she also mentioned, what they could offer in terms of the career level, as well as the department, and what are the career growth opportunities within Google, and obviously all the perks as well. You have free lunches, there's, the employee chill out area, and all those things that, you read online, right? So with all the information that I had, right? Then the question, whenever I tell this story to my friends or to my clients, my students in my program, one of the questions they always ask me is that, maybe then, why did you end up declining the offer? Because everybody wants to work with Google. It's a good company to have on your resume, and it's also a good company to just chill out, right? You have like nice lunches, the office is really beautiful, and all those things. Now, I think those are really, really fair questions. And the thing is that in my view, right, the company is important, but it's never as important as the contribution and the growth opportunity and the learning opportunity that you will be able to get when you join the job. So I explained to you my thought process of ultimately declining the job with Google. And even though, like I said, they have like a huge brand and it's everybody's dream job. But eventually I declined due to multiple reasons. The first one is the fact that the career level is a lot more junior than where I was at that time. So at the time, when I left Standard Chartered, I was the associate director. So fairly senior position. However, the headcount that they had at Google was only like a specialist or like junior level, right? But that was the only headcount available. Even though, there might have been plans to upgrade it to a senior or some managerial equivalent, but those were not concrete plans. So one of the things that I thought of is, okay, if I were to restart at a junior level, like, well, what does that mean? Because does it mean that I'm going to like erase all my past experiences and just start fairly fresh, which I wasn't sure if that was really what I wanted to do? Then the second thing I thought of was really around the department as well. So, it was the audit department. And by that time, right, I had a good mixture of audit compliance and risk management positions, right? And at that time, I asked myself whether, like, do I foresee continuing on the audit journey? So given that I've tried so many things already, like, would this be the most, like, would it be the best path, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like, would it be the best path to move forward? Because if I reroute back into another specialist zone, then could I foresee myself doing audit for the next 10 years? And my honest answer was like, I don't think so. Because for me, as I gradually moved from audit to internal controls, compliance, and a bit more like the business advisory stuff, I found that to be a lot more fun. And when like the job offer came, right, I felt that looking at the actual responsibilities, the day-to-day responsibilities, I didn't feel that would be exciting and that would be a real growth, at least for me, not for you, but at least for me. I didn't feel that would be something that I would want to do if I were to think forward in the next few years. So that would then mean that, okay, all the experience that I'll be gaining in Google is not going to really go anywhere if I don't feel that that's the path for me. Now, I know it sounds a bit abstract, but again, right, it's just the thought process I've gone through, and you might have your own, thought process as well. So that was the second reason. And the third reason I also thought of is the fact that, if the position that's being offered is kind of like a, I guess, junior or specialist position, then at what point is a promotion going to be guaranteed? Because, headcount is very complicated. And I'll tell you that from someone who's actually been in leadership and management. I used to also look into headcount and budgeting for in my role as the senior director at Standard Chartered. And I can tell you that headcount is very complicated, right? There are no promises until you see in black and white, okay? Whatever your boss tells you, like, that's still floating in the air. I'll just be honest with you. So knowing that it was kind of a junior position, and even though, right, Google could match the pay that I was making at that time. Remember, I was an associate director of Standard Chartered. Even though they could match the pay, one of the questions I asked myself was, like, does it mean that I'm at the upper tier, and that would mean that unless the headcount opens up, I will not be able to get promoted? Now, this one is a bit more complicated, but my point here is that if you are someone who take a demotion, right? Maybe you are a manager, you end up taking a senior executive role. Don't forget that you need to wait till the headcount opens up again in that new company before you can be promoted. It's not a matter of just hard work. Okay, so this is a conversation around promotion. We're not going to get into because it's a bit more complicated, and I do teach the step-by-step on positioning yourself for that. So I'm not going to talk about that. But my point is, the ability for me, and rather how fast for me to get promoted within the department, career ladder was something that I really, really thought of as well. And I told myself that, after working for so many years and really getting recognized, and as I climb the career ladder and increase my income, I'm not sure whether taking on this role with Google would be something that will help move me forward faster, or you kind of like keep me stuck. And eventually I get nothing but the name Google on my resume. Does that make sense? So, addressing the last thing that I always get asked is, hey, Mei Ping, wouldn't you feel excited that, actually they are giving you like free lunches and the office is really cool and stuff like that? Now, here's my very honest answer to that question. Like, if you want free lunch, right, you can pay for yourself. If you are in another job or another role that has growth opportunity, you can probably, double your income in the next few years and you can probably buy it yourself. So that was what I thought. And in terms of like, the chill out area, just having to be like in a nice culture and stuff like that. Now, here's the reality, right? And I think this is something that people don't really want to recognize, is the fact that like, if you're not happy with your day-to-day job responsibilities, it doesn't matter if the company actually has a playground for you, or they give you like, I don't know, entertainment, free coffee, free food or whatever. Because at the end of the day, like whatever you're doing every single day, in terms of your KPI, it's not something that you enjoy. And I don't think anything else can take away from that frustration of doing something that you don't like. In consideration of all of the above points, I decided to decline the offer. And I'm sure a lot of people thought it was a stupid decision, because why would you say no to Google? But if you follow my thought process, I truly believe that was the right decision. Because the next role that I got right after my career break was a director level with Standard Chartered, with a salary increment as well. And that actually helped me to gradually move up and work much closer to the business CEOs managing multi-million dollar projects and multi-million dollar portfolio. So that was something that I was really good at, and I was really glad that I made the right decision for myself. So I'm not saying that that's how you're going to make your decisions. But what I am saying is that sometimes the opportunity is really interesting, but the opportunity may not always be for you. So, always think about what's important for you and what your career will look like as you plan forward. And lastly, I also want to emphasize that, yes, we want to have a good LinkedIn profile strategy. And I teach the step-by-step in my course, right? That's the technical part. But the thing that most people forget is the fact that you need to be really good at what you do, and people remember the contribution that you make. So that was, to me, I think the most important lesson, in which if you want referrals, you want to have a long-lasting career, you want to have fulfillment, happiness, and new opportunities on an ongoing basis, you really want to work on your skills. You really want to work on your ability to get along with people, your ability to manage expectations, your ability to really deliver your performance goals. And I think that was something that truly helped me a lot and really opened up a lot more doors for me. Even though I was on a career break and I was supposedly quote unquote doing nothing, but it's not really doing nothing, because at the end of the day, like, your career is a journey. So just because you take a bit of time off, it doesn't mean that you are gonna completely ignore everything that you've done in the past. And it's a much better strategy to think of it holistically and really position and set yourself up for success. Whether you're taking a career break or not, whether you're on a holiday or not, whether you want to do something else, all this is totally possible, as long as you set yourself up with the right career growth strategy. And that was what I found really helpful for me. So finding opportunities, that's like the final part of it. But what about the steps to get there? What about the steps to making sure that you have clear clarity on your job description? You have inner confidence to be courageous, to make decisions, right? To feel confident and motivated, and as well as making sure that you have the skills that are really in demand. And most importantly, you know actually how to sell your value. So those are the things that I found super duper helpful for me. Even though during that time, I didn't have a clear framework like nowadays I teach in my career course, the 3-step framework. I didn't have any of that. It was kind of a trial and error. This was really many years ago. But I think having that step by step, having a clear strategy keeps you focused, and definitely kept me focused at that time, so that, yeah, even though there are new opportunities that came, I never forgot what was the most important thing. And the most important thing is always with me, right? If I'm good at what I do, if I'm clear what I want, if I'm truly confident and I'm really competent, I know my value, I'm able to communicate and sell my value, then getting the opportunity is the easy part. Getting visible, attract new opportunities, actually that is the easy part. But everybody is focusing on the opportunities. They don't think about, are you someone that's worthy of getting the opportunity? So this is what I want you to think about. And if you haven't already, make sure that you download my free guide, and that is the 5-day career growth guide that will walk you through step by step on finding career clarity, job confidence, work competence, and really how to position your value and sell yourself using online branding. And I think you'll really enjoy the quick guide that I've prepared for you. So download it and you can grab it for free at www.nipin.com. So with that, I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.